Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another reaction video with yours truly. And today we are reacting to the one and only Chisel Adonis. Now, I know Streamers University Part 2 has got people going crazy. And we're going to get into the controversy because a lot of the people that went there that made videos, they were talking about how like they went there for an opportunity. They didn't even get a chance to get interviewed. So, Adonis, without further ado, take it away.
All right, so boom, let me tell you something, all right? Let me tell you something. I'm gonna try not to be too New York, but I just made it back to the crib from Manhattan, right? Because I went out there for Streaming University 2.0 in-person applications. And let me tell you something. I will never do things by the book in uniform in humility ever again, son. I'm skipping every line moving forward, son. I'm leveraging all of the clout. Ain't no way I'm about to let motherfuckers come out here and skip me the way they did, son. There was people who pulled up, literally, skipped everybody, just walked in. No acknowledgement of the line whatsoever. Security just assumed because they were walking with confidence, they were already meant to be here. And my dumb ass in the line, everybody else just trying to be regular. Do things the uniform way. Do things the right way. I will never do things the right way no more. Machiavellian actions, unscrupulous actions moving forward, son. This shit was ridiculous. Shout out to my boy Jeff Reviews, Junior Mafia 21, been subscriber of mine since 2017. He held my spot in line, right? So son messaged me, said, yo, I just got here at 11 a.m. I missed my train. I made it over there, got there by like 12:30, right? We get in line. Mind you, anybody who's been around John Jay College, the way the line was structured, people was waiting on what was the length of maybe the quarter of the block, right? So you have the quarter of the block, and then there's the turn to the left-hand side of the block. We were in the middle of that left-hand side of the block. So it's somewhat of an L, if you will. It's an L. We're at the top of the L, right? The line got so long to where it wrapped around at its peak. It wrapped around the entirety of the block. But we're right here. We moved from when I arrived at 12:30 to when I left at 5:48 p.m. We moved the length of 72 regular strided steps from the middle to not even the bend of the L of the block. We didn't even make it to the top of the block. We got to somewhat of 7/8, arguably, maybe 6/8 of the block. 72 regular pace steps is how far we advance in 5 hours. I will never not fucking, mess around and cut the line ever again. There was people who legitimate. Now listen, I'm not somebody who gonna do things the wrong way, at least not anymore, right? But I'm in line. I'm not necessarily incognito. I got my shades on. Obviously, it's not too difficult to identify who I am. You got the motherfucking shirt who says the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual. It's not very difficult to identify. I'm the chiseled Adonis, right? But I got my shades on. So for whatever reason, the shades operate as a form of an Avengers costume, if you will, to where nobody, or I should say some sort of a disguise, so nobody can know who I am. If it wasn't so hot, I'd put a hoodie on. Nobody would know who I was, right? But Wavy, shout out to my boy. He pulled up. He was streaming or whatever. And we had a conversation. He doubled back. He didn't have this particular point on stream, but he's like, yo, y'all don't even know who y'all around right now. I'm gonna make it hot. Just trying to do shit the right way. Everybody else cut the motherfucking line. They just walked in, cut. I saw Ray. Obviously, you got a relationship with Kai. I would assume you got an opportunity to go and cut the entire line. But they had him. There was another dude, something Knox. I forget what the first part of his Twitch name just so happened to be. This man just pulled up and he cut the whole shit. I found out because somebody in the line was like, yo, he just cut the whole line and he went inside. I'm like, what? Hold on, so you telling me I should have just did this shit instead of just stood back here? There was one dude, and I ain't gonna take no shots at nobody who's an upcoming streamer, son, because I understand what it was like. We all started, let me not say we all, but for those of us who done made it, to the other side, if you will, and made it, what's really making it, but has the numbers, if you will, and do this full time, because I've been doing this full time for 9 years. There was one particular gentleman for 5 straight hours, rage baiting and clip farming, screaming into his phone, right? And I just so happened to catch a glimpse. Man's had 3 viewers on his phone, right? But I ain't gonna take nothing away from him. He just trying to, engage with his chat room and get his TikTok live popping. Cool. There was one particular point in which folks started talking about, yo, if you ain't got 900 followers, I should be in front of you. Another person, yo, if you ain't got 1,500 subscribers, I should be in front of you. So we going follower for follower, subscriber for subscriber? You really want to do this, bro? Like, what part of the game is this, bro? You got folks who waiting forever in line. We advanced the length of 72 steps. 72 steps. Now, albeit, I can't fault Kai because him and his team is on the inside. They pretty much put it in the hands of the NYPD. Now, albeit, I would hope there was a coordinator who happened to be at the front who was trying to filter. But the amount of clips that I can see now on the train ride home, looking at all the clips from the people who were streaming from the front, folks was cutting and skipping the entire time. And the downside was there was no relay of information to come back to anybody who was at any point in the line. Like for us who was right here at like the top of the L, who advanced to like 6/8 of the L approaching the bend, you had people who were just on the way out that would try to give a little bit of feedback. But if you were somebody who was all the way at the back, or you turned around the motherfucking block, bro, you probably still standing in line right now, despite the fact the shit was finished. And this is the last thing I'm gonna leave you with. The worst, the most egregious of everything was, I got there 12:30 or whatever, right? There were folks who wasn't even in line, because Kai arrived, I believe, like 1:20, because a clip came up like 1:22 of him walking in, so I'm assuming he arrived like anywhere between 1:15 to 1:20. There were people who wasn't even in line. They were streaming, walking around, shooting content, going up and down the block about 1:10, 1:15 when Kai first arrived. How the fuck they get inside and got a whole goddamn interview by 2? Even if you had somebody who was sitting in place, in your spot, they was all the way across away from where they was at. How the hell you still get in within minutes, bro? Shit was wild, son. Now, albeit, again, I recognize you got thousands of people who flooded said street trying to get inside, and more often than not, if you're gonna dedicate, let's say 3 to 5 some minutes for each particular interview, I get it. You can't see everybody. Not everybody gonna get it. Cool. I'm not even upset about that, bro. But you gotta have some sort of enforcement to ensure folks don't mess around and cut the line. Because anybody who's ever been in a situation similar to this, whether you waiting for a product, you waiting for a meet and greet, you waiting for something that will most definitely get time capped. The worst scenario to be in is to be in one of those possibility spots in line where you waiting to mess around in advance. There's a possibility you could make it, but there's also a high possibility you won't make it. As you get closer and closer and closer to the time cap, there's gonna be some folks who got no morals, decorum, or respect who gonna do everything they can to start pushing, shoving, and skipping folks, because for them, if they can't get in, you can't get it, right? And you know it's gonna end up reaching a fever pitch. On top of that, people who had already got in, who have somewhat of a following, they kept nesting around the front area. So because you nesting in that area and you're pretty much creating, not necessarily chaos, but you're creating a clutter, there's gonna be a larger police presence that's gonna make its way into that area. Now, since there's a larger police presence, if you're creating an obstruction for the street for cars and vehicles to go and pass, what do you think the authorities are gonna do? They're gonna expedite the process of shutting the entire thing down, which is probably what ultimately ended up happening, because there was a bunch of people running left and right through the streets. I think a fight almost messed around and broke out. I ain't got nothing against folks doing their content. That's cool, bro. The moment you get to the point where everybody together in one spot, you are on 11th Avenue, which is already a 2-way motherfucking street, 4 lanes total. You got 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and there's a divider in between, I believe. And you got people, a sea of folks who's holding up traffic in that situation, fire trucks struggling to get through, ambulances struggling to get through. The police at first, when we first got there, said, yeah, they said we're supposed to go up until about 7 p.m. Once we got to like 4, they on, yeah, I think it's only gonna be about 45 minutes. We might at best give them an hour or so. They started cutting time left and right because folks started wilding in the streets. And I'm sitting there in the line the whole time like, you know, I could have cut this. And every time there was somebody who happened to go and recognize me, or individuals who I was speaking with and then they identified who I just so happened to be, or I happen to give out, my social media, because I never once, and Jeff can attest to this, I never once went and said, yeah, man, yo, I got 1 million. Yeah, man, yo, I got a bunch of visits. I'm almost at 1 million on IG. Yeah, man, yo, I got hundreds of thousands there on TikTok. I never did that. I never led with no numbers, nothing. I'm over here just giving out free game left and right, because that's the right way to do it. Every single time somebody just messing around and figured out how much followers or subscribers I happen to do. Yo, so what you doing in the line? What are you doing? I'm no different than you. We bleed the same blood. We stream on the same, the platforms, if you will. We may not have the same internet connection. We may not have the same setup. We may not have the same product, but we both human beings simply just trying to go put our content to go and captivate our audiences. I'm no different than you. That don't mean I got to mess around and not stand in line next to you, bro. I'm not somebody who just I'm all the way up here, you down here. We both human, right? But for whatever reason, because folks will view it that way, maybe I got to view it that way. I don't think I'm going to lose my level of humility, but I'm definitely going to have to start scheming moving forward and taking advantage of leverage and clout, fam. Because never again will I find myself just standing out there for an extended period of time, no advancement whatsoever, letting everybody and their mama mess around and skip and pass us up. And we supposed to be standing out there trying to get an opportunity. Because I'll tell you something right now. Here's a different situation with me. I can return back and I got my audience. I got my shit going, so I'm all right. Right? But somebody else who's standing in the same spot as I am, just trying to get started, trying to get an opportunity, you unfortunately mess around and get fucked by other people messing around and skipping you. So I say all that to say, I will be leveraging clout moving forward. I will be doing underhanded tactics for every potential opportunity that happens to be able or to be within my vicinity. As Eddie Guerrero once said, I'm fixing to lie, cheat, and steal my goddamn way to the top. And damn it, you should too. Fuck the doing this shit by the rules. If they ain't gonna follow the rules, I ain't gonna follow the rules either.
I have to say, first and foremost, that Chisel Adonis, he is funny. Like, I've seen a lot of his videos with the marbles, and he has something against that pink marble, bro. It's hilarious. But in all seriousness, one of the biggest issues that I see with not streaming university, but just big opportunities that come through, right, is that you have so many people that will jump to this opportunity because they're looking at it as a cash grab. They're looking at it as, okay, a single shot to the top, least opposition, easiest route to take, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the people that went to these streaming university events, they went in to the in-person interview. Did you know that some of these people flew out? Some of these people called out of work. Some of these people spent their rent money just to be on that line for an opportunity that was far and few in between. But these same people probably wouldn't even show up in their personal lives with the same amount of energy, with the same amount of effort and momentum. It is sad to see. You had so many people on those lines who wanted a shot to go to Streamers University, and they aren't even streamers. They didn't even have a Twitch account. They didn't even have a YouTube account. And damn near everybody has a YouTube account. But maybe they had a TikTok. But what makes a content creator is you have to have something different, something unique compared to what everyone else is already doing. Like, Streamers University doesn't need another group of TikTok dancers just dancing to the next viral video. They don't need that, bro. After the first Streaming University, majority of other people that went there that made a name for themselves, you don't even hear about them no more. You don't even talk about them anymore. And if you are talking about them, half of those people that you talk about, that you're probably talking about them because they're doing something goofy again. Remember, like, people had so much to say about Rakai, and I'm sure they still do. They still don't like him. Then you even have Nina Lynn. Nina Lynn, she was doing all right in the beginning, and then for some reason, she just became goofy overnight. What makes you think that people like that deserve an opportunity, deserve a second opportunity, to be perfectly honest? Because, like, listen, the problem with people who look at Streamers University as like, okay, because of Kai, if I sit in that room and, I get the spotlight and I get accepted, now I'm going to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you're going into streaming with that mindset, you're not a streamer, and you shouldn't be there in the first place. Like, you have to do the work beforehand before, like, an opportunity just pops out of nowhere. And there was, like, some kind of interview before where some streamers were saying, 60,000 viewers now was like 6,000 viewers before the first streaming university. So like now the streaming space is overly saturated with people who don't even care about streaming. They're just looking for the next viral moment. Shout out to Chisel Adonis. I think he said it perfectly. You have people and streamers and content creators and YouTubers like him who already have a platform. They can go to these interviews, not get one, go home, make a video, and still generate like thousands of views, maybe hundreds of thousands of views. Maybe they could do that. But you have people who don't have that following at all. They may be going live online and have like no one in the chat. After the fact, they go home literally empty-handed, you know? And so like what happens then? What happens to them? They go right back to what they were doing beforehand. The problem is like if you want to do streaming, if you want to stream and you want to take it seriously, if you claim to be a content creator, you need to do the work beforehand. You can't wait for like a supposed big opportunity like streaming university to come around so you can get a shot. You should have been doing the work. Should have been had your Twitch channel, should have been had your YouTube channel, and should have been had your TikTok. You know, and if you play video games, stream. And if you have more than one account, multi-stream, stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. It's actually okay to do so. And depending on what platform you have, it's free to do so. You have people that just want a straight shot to the top and they don't want to do any of the work. And then, you know, shout out to Antonio Speaks because I watched his video as well. And he said, you know what, like the world doesn't need more content creators. It doesn't need more TikTok dancers to become famous overnight. And these doctors, lawyers, like electricians, and it needs more people in trades. People don't care about that. We literally live in an instant gratification society. And people, they want the path of least resistance. They want to make it to the top. They want to reap all of the benefits without doing any of the work. And unfortunately, like with Streamers University Part 2, like it'll be a little interesting to see, you know, who gets in. Maybe not. One thing that I will say is everyone that was able to make a name for themselves with Streaming University Part 1, you don't need Kai after the fact. Or if you feel as though you do need Kai, then that only goes to show that you never had a platform to begin with. Like you can't sit there, you know, get lucky, have the privilege of going to the first streaming university. You gain all of this exposure and then you don't know how to do the work and you can't put the work in to keep the community. So what good is Streaming University Part 2 to you? Like really, if you never had the community in the first place and you were only able to shine because you were given a spotlight, and then for some reason people forgot about who you were after the fact, that's a wasted opportunity. You just happen to make a couple of thousands when the opportunity came your way in the first time. But you know, like you have all of these people that spend so much money just to go to Streamers University, but have these people ever put that same amount of work in for like a college application to show up in their own personal lives to actually do the work that they need to do? No one is saying that, you know, streaming isn't valuable. But there's so many other things that people could have put their time and their energy into that they just chose not to. But, you know, because of COVID, everyone and their uncle had to go to the internet. IRL streaming became a thing. And because Kai was able to take it to new heights, he showed just what streamers are able to do. The problem is when people see what's hot, when people see what's trending, everybody and their uncle wants to do it now. Everybody wants to be an IRL streamer. Everybody wants to stream in person, you know, like everybody wants to go live and search for the next viral clip. That's not content, bro. It's not content and it's not that valuable if everybody is doing it. So my personal take on Streaming University, you know, I started to complete an application online. And then I kid you not, by the time I got to the last page, which asks for like your ID information, I said, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need Streamers University. Everything that I need is right here, right now. Like I'm doing the work. I don't need an opportunity like that. Like I don't need it. You know, like I'm gonna do things my way, and I know that if I'm fortunate enough to make it to the top, if I'm fortunate enough to make a name for myself with my Twitch channel, with my YouTube channel, then more credit and more power to me, because you know I did it with my own two hands. Now I will understand that, you know, like having an opportunity like that not a lot of people are even willing to give people a shot because, you know, when people get to the top, they usually don't look back, or you have a handful of people that won't look back. So, you know, shout out to Kai for actually giving people a platform and giving the little person an opportunity to make a name for themselves. What I will say is that everyone who already had a massive following and came to that interview and like was skipping the line, bro, like, you know, like I'm not gonna say that those people were like leeching off of like Kai's name, but if you already made a name for yourself, you don't need Streamer University Part 2. But I understand that people want to collab because, you know, collaborations is like the gold standard. Just look at it now. Like Kai was able to collaborate with Nicki Minaj, Kevin Hart, all of these different rappers, LeBron James, right? But the only issue that I see with something like that, if I'm actually searching for an issue and I want to play devil's advocate, is the fact that you have people that don't even care for streaming. You have people that didn't even know what Twitch was. They probably thought that Twitch was literally an involuntary body movement. Coming onto the platform because Kai has reach. He has a massive following. He has thousands of eyes on him. But you don't even care for streaming like that. But you want to be a part of his name. You want to collab with him. But you didn't even care for it. The way that streaming is now it makes it a lot harder for those people who are unique, for those people who really do put the time in to get like to get a spotlight, to shine, because you have so many people, you know, rushing to the opportunity that never really cared about putting in the work in the first place. Like you don't become famous overnight. And now with everyone looking for the next viral clip, everyone is trying to be famous overnight. But there's a thin line between infamy and fame. And a lot of people don't know the difference between the two. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think about this video. I know this video was something that you guys requested, something that you guys asked for. You asked, and you received. Without further ado, we will see you in the next reaction video.